Good morning, everybody. Stefano, Valerio and I, we will present the main findings of our research organized by Italian Trade Union, CGIL and FIOM, and conducted by Claudio Sabattini and the Vittorio Foundations. This research it has been realized by using both quantitative and qualitative tools to highlight the consequences about working conditions determined by organizational and technological innovation defined by FCA Group within Italian plants. So first of all, we can summarize the main consequences determined by this modification about labor organization and technological tools used within Italian FCA plants. And we can highlight that basically we can see an overall worsening of working conditions, because we have first of all a strong compression of working times. I mean the time assigned to workers to perform their assigned tasks, and in this way we can see a great intensification of workers' performance from the point of view of pace and rhythm, an increase in workloads, and a net worsening of saturation. Saturation is a crucial concept because this is the ratio between the duration of working shift and the time effectively worked inside the duration of the shift. So we can stress a great deterioration about working condition after the application of the new organizational model defined by FCA Group, which is the World Class Manufacturing and Ergo UAS system. Attention, these are three distinct elements, because world-class manufacturing is an organizational system to improve productivity. Ergo is an ergonomic tool, basically a checklist to evaluate the risk factor and the risk index for each workstation from the point of view of the workload, etc. And the UAS, Universal Analyzing System, is a MTM method that is a work metric tool which identify each micro movement performed by workers, for example, to grasp, to move, to push, etc. And for each of them, an international table assigns the corresponding time to be respected by workers. We can list the 10 determinants of working condition within FCA plants after the introduction of this new organizational and technological system. I have no time to describe each of them particularly, but they are fully described in the paper wrote by Stefano, Valerio and I. And we can list the bonification of collective agreement, the new methods of work metrics and ergonomic assessment used, the technological elements, which are basically the new technological tools introduced by Industry 4.0, so digital tools, a new wave of automation, the tool to record the performance of workers, etc. The production mix, I mean the different model of vehicles produced in the production line, the new logistics system, the lack of the rotation of workstations, the reduction of staffs, the new quality objectives from the point of view of the control of the quality certification, etc., assigned to workers. The number of operations assigned to workers per workstation managed unofficially by the use of operational card by team leader, and finally the system of breaks applied. First of all, we can stress maybe the main elements determining this new working condition, which is the new collective agreement applied within FCA plants in Italy, because the previous trade union agreement of the 70s stated the concept of maximal individual saturation on assembly line, which is the maximum amount of workload can be assigned to each workers. This is a crucial concept because this concept states, first of all, the fact that the saturation is maximum and not average, so can never be variation in increase. Second, the saturation is individual, I mean computed for each individual workers and not for the assembly line as a whole, and the snapshot, which stands for product, which face front to the production mix, so that for the vehicle which imply a more intensive labor, this saturation can never overcome the maximum of workload assigned to workers. But the new CCSL imposed by the former CEO Marchionne removed all these aspects, and he states simply that the goal is to reach the production quantity. So in this way, FCA is totally free to plan daily, weekly or monthly production despite the total amount of workload assigned to each worker in the assembly line. The Ergo UAS system, as stated above, integrate an ergonomic risk factor, Ergo, with a metric tool. Previously I stated that WCM, Ergo and UAS are three distinct elements, but the interrelation between them is so strong that in the perception of worker they are the same thing. UAS system basically working as a predetermined times. For each micro movement is assigned a value in terms of times, but attention, because MTA UAS bring together the elementary movement in a more complete action, and in this way reduce the number of operations. This reduction is merely formal, not real, because a worker must to perform the same number of micro movement before the application of this new organizational system. And the difference in respect to the previous tool used, which is the OCRAD, is very bad, is very negative for working condition. At the same time, WCM is inspired by lean production philosophy, and the main goal of this organizational system is to eliminate, or at least to reduce, the so-called not value-added activities, because company classify all activities performed by workers in two kind of them. The operation directly related to the production, which is added value activities, and the activities not directly related to the production, which is classified as not value added activities, and in this way they must be eliminated or at least compressed. But from the point of view of working condition, if the company consider as a downtime, waste or muda the not value-added activities, from the point of view of the workers, these activities are basically micro pauses, micro breaks to recover from the point of view of both physical and nervous condition. So it's clear that the elimination of the not value-added activities translate in a net and clear deterioration of worker condition from the point of view of the workload, the pace, the rhythm, the intensification of the performance, etc. Technological aspects are fully functional to this kind of organizational system because obviously they use the mechanized assembly lines which determine the time available to each workstation to perform the assigned work, which is constant and equal to the cadence of the line defined by companies and not negotiated by workers. This is very important from the point of view of the production volumes and the times assigned. All type of machinery. We can talking about welding robots, machine, screwdriver, etc., working on the basis of programs that define the cycle times of each operation. And in this way, workers directly depend to this program which define the time of machinery. And even the 8 tools which respond to the lean production concept of Poka-yoke, these 8 tools can be mechanical, electronical, or digital. They basically guide the performance of workers, and they have the cycle time incorporated within them, and this translates in a grid constrained the times and rhythm of workers. And finally, the digitalization and the connection of all kind of machinery, tools, etc., allow to record the start and the end of the operation and in real time, and this translate in a very powerful tool for controlling time and the remote control about worker performance. The production mix is a very negative aspect because the different vehicle to be produced implies a very different weight in terms of option, variance, and again in terms of workloads. But if a production schedule not include a precise calculation of the total time needed to produce all type of vehicle, and not include a correct alternation between more and less EV vehicle, this translates in a poor management of the production mix and can lead to a very unbalanced workload between operators of the same line. Logistics basically is inspired by lean production model which prescribe the delivery of piece and tools to each workstation to prevent workers to move, to realize that not value-added activity, and in this way workers is fully and continuously focused only about productive activities directly on the line. The lack of the rotation of workstation, because obviously we have workstation with different workloads deriving from the different kind and number of tasks to be performed for each workstation. But within FCA plants, the rotation of workstation is not possible. For example, because the high number of workers with reduced working capacity, because several workstations are not adequate to perform this rotation, and finally, because if a company would realize this rotation, could at the same time allow for training activity for workers, which is considered from the point of view of the company as a cost. The staff reduction, the reduction of employment level, march together with the new organizational system, because on the one hand, the company has scientifically defined and applied the system from the point of view of organizational and technological point of view, aimed to reducing workforce, to reduce costs, and at the same time, because staff were reduced, company defined equally scientifically tools from both from the point of view of organizational and technological system to intensify the performance of the reduced staff. And these two aspects are strongly interlinked between them. The aspect related to quality controls means that workers are forced to perform further operations classified as not value-added activities, for example, quality control, certification, etc. And because in this way, company can assign to worker further operation without recognizing them within the operational card, and in this way without recognizing an adequate working time to perform them. And this is strongly linked to the management of the operational card, because operational card is a very clear element available to workers to verify the workload, the task assigned, the working times, etc. But often this is not available to operation at their station. And in the absence of the same, it is not possible to carry out a preventive check of the workloads. And often the team leader, perform an informal management of the operational card to introduce new and unofficial tasks to workers. But while from the point of view of the workers, we have not clear instrument to verify the workloads and the intensification of the performance, from the point of view of the control performed by company, we have several instruments. For example, the electronic scoreboards called ANDON, which are present in the departments and allow to view and to verify in real time the status of production, the status of the process production, of the flows, etc., etc. Finally, the system of breaks is not enough to recover both from the point of view of physical and nervous recover of the worker performance, because they are reduced to intensify performance, to increase the production within the same working shift. And I will finish by stressing also the role of the teams, because we can speak about teams without teamwork. We can see a strong inhomogeneity in the implementation of teams between the different FCA plants in Italy. Teams are not perceived by workers as a way to reduce the hierarchies. We have a scarce perception of team-based cooperation, and the suggestion system, another tool introduced by lean production system, is very critical aspect. Many thanks for your attention.